Hello and welcome to another amateur video I have created in our Photoshop tutorial series. In this video, I will tell you some about the most common file types we will deal with in Photoshop. And at the end, I will turn into a savior and give you some tips and tricks which will come very handy while working with Photoshop. Let's start with file types. First of all, I will tell you about only 3 file types, and that too very briefly, because there are a lot of them which Photoshop supports. And I mean it when I said a lot. And you will eventually learn about them as you start to work at advanced level in Photoshop. Getting back to our agenda here, the 3 file formats I will be talking about are very common, and I really mean by common. These are PSD, JPEG or JPG and PNG. In the last video, I have uploaded a file for your better understanding of layers. Now if you have noticed, or if you not, then pause and look up the file format of the file I provided. It is in PSD format. PSD here stands for Photoshop data file. Photoshop will save all the work you do in this format unless specified otherwise. This file format will contain all the layers, colors, effect information inside. That is, when you get PSD file, you will get all the earlier mentioned information with it as compared to the normal image where you only get the final picture without any possibility of further tweaks. Right now, what you see on my Photoshop interface is a PSD file. You can see the layers panel with different layers of the image we can see in the canvas area. These layers contain color and other layer effects information in them. These informations can be shared with other designers via this file format with the possibility of further tweaks and tunes. For example, I can move a few layers to change their orientation with each other. I can change the color of an individual layer or shape I wish. You will understand why I keep saying and emphasizing on the possibility of further tweaks more clearly when I open the next file format. The next file is a JPEG or JPG file. Remember, JPEG and JPG are 2 different file formats, but they have similar encoding and are used interchangeably. And if you are wondering, JPEG stands for Joint Photographic Experts Group, who created this standard. Anyhow, when I open my JPG file, you can see that we don't have multiple layers but only one. We will always have one layer as long as something is open in Photoshop. So this is that layer. We can't do anything with this layer. I mean, we can do, but it won't be like the one we can do with the PSD file. But if you were to use the file for some web display or some print media, it will exactly look like this and will be in this format. Now, if you go ahead and add some layers to this, for example, a type layer or maybe a shape or another image to blend in, and then go ahead and save this file, you will save it in PSD format. This format will have all the layers and effects information you added and can be shared with others who wish to use them in Photoshop. But if you save the file in the same JPG format, you will lose all the layers and effects information and will only have what the image finally looks like in the canvas area. Just like another neighborhood image we click on our phone or with a digital point and shoot camera. Moving on, let's look at our next file format, that is PNG. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphics. Now, in this image, you see something different. If you have watched the previous video in our video series, you should know about the omnipresent background we have here, the white and grey grid pattern. This pattern represents transparency, if you recall. And let me use a big phrase here, alpha channel. By definition, the alpha channel is a color component that represents the degree of transparency or opacity of a color, that is the red, green and blue channels. It is used to determine how a pixel rendered when blended with another. Or to suffice it, let's say the grid background is technically called alpha channel. And the reason I showed you the alpha channel in this format is because PNG is the file format you go to if you want alpha channel information to be stored in the image. That is, if you want something transparent in your image. And if you display this image as it is outside Photoshop, the background will be transparent. A PSD file will always have this information, but that is not usable for a web or banner display or print media. And a JPEG or JPG file is a flat raster image and will never store alpha channel information. If you try to save this image in JPG format, you will automatically get a white background added to it in the final exported image. Well, these are the files you will mostly deal with while working with Photoshop. There are a lot of other formats as well, but those qualifies for advanced Photoshop. Now, it's time to save your precious future time by giving you some tips and some tricks to go on with Photoshop. First thing anyone, anywhere in the world will do will be a mistake, a fail attempt. No one succeeds in the first attempt, There may be few people out of the 7 billion we have on earth, but I am not here to teach them. So let's consider the unfortunate lot here. So first thing you will do is a mistake, and you will want to undo that mistake, and Ctrl Z is your savior. But it is not that easy in Photoshop, and that's why I am telling you this. In Photoshop, Ctrl Z will only take you one step back, and you going one step back is also considered a step. So it will redo what you undo if you undo again just after you undo once. Got it? No? Well, let me show you. Move the black pentagon, then Ctrl Z to move it back, and now Ctrl Z again to see it repeat itself. So in order to keep undoing your actions, you will need Ctrl Alt Z. This will keep undoing your actions up to the action that is stored in the history panel. Let me do some random movements with the layers, and then I will show you the history panel to undo lot of actions at once. This is the history panel. If it is not there, use the window menu and find history. Now scroll up to your desired action here. Then click and ta-da! Next is zooming. Just press Z, shortcut for zoom tool here. As soon as you press Z, zoom tool will be activated and the mouse cursor will change into a magnifying lens with plus sign. Click anywhere you want to zoom. Press and hold Alt on your keyboard and you will see that the plus sign in the mouse cursor will change to minus sign, implying it will now zoom out if you click. See? Now look up at the control panel and find something called scrubby zoom. When it is checked, you have an ability to keep zooming in or out depending on how you move the mouse cursor. I mean, click and hold and move the mouse to right to zoom in and left to zoom out. Nice, isn't it? Now uncheck that scrubby zoom and click and drag the mouse to select an area. And please select a large area at first instance so you don't get caught by surprise. Selecting like this will zoom that area to fill the entire application frame available for the canvas. While zoomed in, you can pan around the canvas by holding spacebar and click and drag the canvas. You can see that the mouse cursor has changed to a tiny hand which will grab and move your canvas at your will. And finally, simply hold Alt and click to zoom out. Now this was from the toolbar. You can also zoom in by holding Alt on the keyboard and scroll up from your mouse. Scroll down with Alt pressed and you will zoom out of the canvas. You can scroll or pan up and down the zoomed canvas by your scroll, which is obvious. But you can also pan left and right the zoomed canvas by holding Ctrl and scroll up for left and down for right. You can also zoom in or out with holding Ctrl and pressing plus or minus respectively. And with Ctrl 0, you can fit your canvas to the available application frame. See, it is so much easy now. And I think these many options just to zoom will be enough for one video. Moving on, let's talk about rulers and guides. Everyone knows what the rulers are used for. You can make them visible from view menu and then rulers, or use the hotkey Ctrl R. Now, function of rulers are simple, but in Photoshop, rulers really rule with guides. Just click on the ruler and drag them to the middle of the canvas. This line is called a guide. You can do that from either ruler to help you mark spots and guide you in aligning your work. You can also move your existing guide. Just have the move tool active and check from view menu and lock guides whether the guides can move or not, and then move the guide as you like. This lock guide function will lock your guides so you don't move them by mistake, messing up your marked spots. Since we are already on the subject of aligning, Photoshop gives you some preset aligning options to align layers with one another. Now, this aligning will be done with respect to layers itself and not with the canvas as reference. Click some layers to align and look up at the control panel and see these options here. These are options for alignment and the icon represents what type of alignment it will do. Moving on, we have Tab key in our keyboard. This key can be used to toggle the visibility of our panels and toolbar and control panel. You get the point, right? Then there's full screen function with the help of F key. There are three modes of visibility with F key. First is this normal mode. Then press F once to enter the Photoshop into full screen mode. And then press F again to make the canvas into full screen mode. And finally F again to back to normal mode. Next, let's look at a tool which is clubbed with the hand tool called rotate with shortcut key R. So press R to activate the rotate tool and rotate the entire canvas as you like. You can hold shift while rotating to snap the rotation at 15 degrees angle. There is a reset view option in the control panel when the rotate tool is active to reset the canvas back to 0 degree. Remember, you cannot undo the canvas rotation. You can only set the angle or reset view. And yeah, you can set the exact angle from the rotation angle option in the control panel. Finally, I have already mentioned in our previous video about easy selection of layers, but I will mention once again so to have all the tricks in one video. You can select multiple layers by clicking one layer and holding shift and clicking another layer, which will select all the layers in between these two layers. Or you can hold control and click individual layers if you don't want layers in continuous order. Now another one. Use Ctrl J to quickly copy a layer currently in selection. The duplicate layer will be created just above the original layer with the same name but with copy at the end. Like in the layers panel, the duplicate layer will be created exactly above the original layer in the canvas as well. So simply select the duplicate layer in the layers panel and drag out the canvas layer to reveal the original layer beneath it. Another way to quickly duplicate a layer is to hold Alt and click and drag a layer. In 2017 version of Photoshop, I don't need to select the layer and can directly drag a layer while holding Alt. So people with other versions of Photoshop, take care to select the desired layer or some random layer will get duplicated. Now on the final topic, you can right click anywhere on the canvas and it will show all the layers that occupy that point of click with top layer on top of the options. So this way you can select any layer, hidden or visible, which exists at that point. This is the end for this video. I have uploaded a PDF file with all the tricks and tips to keep handy with you. See you in the next video.